and if the stars summon my name, to recover the dust they once lent, and deliver me back from where I came, I gladly would have relatively went.
When my husband died, because he was so famous and known for not being a believer, many people would come up to me. It still sometimes happens. And ask me if Carl changed at the end and converted to a belief in an afterlife. They also frequently ask me if I think I will see him again. Carl faced his death with unflagging courage and never sought refuge in illusions. The tragedy was that we knew we would never see each other again. I don't ever expect to be reunited with Carl. But, the great thing is that when we were together, for nearly 20 years, we lived with a vivid appreciation of how brief and precious life is. We never trivialized the meaning of death by pretending it was anything other than a final parting. Every single moment that we were alive and we were together was miraculous. Not miraculous in the sense of inexplicable or supernatural. We knew we were beneficiaries of chance. That pure chance could be so generous and so kind. That we could find each other, as Carl wrote so beautifully in Cosmos, you know, in the vastness of space and the immensity of time. That we could be together for 20 years. That is something which sustains me, and it's much more meaningful. The way he treated me and the way I treated him, the way we took care of each other and our family, while he lived. That is so much more important than the idea I will see him someday. I don't think I'll ever see Carl again. But I saw him. We saw each other. We found each other in the cosmos, and that was wonderful. Billions and Billions. Thoughts on Life and Death at the Brink of the Millennium. By Carl Sagan. I'm excited for the humanity to survive some million years more. So our great great-grandchildren would see a detailed document on how more we would evolve. Since we are inventing so many things that makes life easier for us, maybe our limbs would shorten and use robotic arms instead. Our jaw and teeth may grow smaller and our food will ultimately be in liquid form or IV. Our hearts may shrink since we don't use much cardio for walking or running anymore. Our skull may grow bigger to house our much larger brain to accommodate all the information we would learn. We may be shorter as our heads become heavier. A woman's womb might not be as stretchable and our way of reproduction might be totally replaced with laboratory processes, on a need-to basis, to control population. We may speak a universal language, which isn't English. The meaning of life and happiness might mean something else more intellectual rather than emotional and spiritual. We don't know what's gonna happen. And we won't be able to ask the future humans. But still, it's worth wondering about. And yet, those artistic images of extraterrestrial beings we see in films, they're all plausible, depending on the environment where they come from. Anything that can happen, might happen.
They pushed me to study hard, and when I did, they said I became too smart.
I don't know who you are referring to, but I will kill you anyways. I see that.
I envy you. You people who were born, lived, grew old and died on the far reaches of society. You from the indigenous tribes of Himalayas. You from the poverty-stricken part of Ethiopia. You from the villages tucked deeply in the Amazon. You Eskimos who live in an actual igloo I only see from an ABC flashcard in preschool. You who have never got the chance to deal with technological advancements. You who have never seen an automobile. You whose dream house is literally limited to 4 walls and a roof. You whose idea of success is to be just as happy tomorrow as you are today. You who doesn't have to turn off your lights to gaze upon the vast blanket of stars. You whose life is simple. Too simple. It is too late for me, for most of us. I could only envy you, and I will tell you why you will not want to be a part of it. Technology is good. Prosperity is nice. But it looks as if, our success as a society is an individual failure for most of us, if not all of us. We have been brought closer and closer together by transportation and communication, but at the very core of it, we are drifting away from each other, faster than any communication device can counteract. Greed has gotten to all of us. It has become a part of our subconscious and became an indelible mark on our personalities, but of course, we are trying to rationalize it as though we are only victims of opportunity. How do we stop this? We don't. How can we at least control this? We can't. Why? Because everyone, and I mean everyone, is a gear on this humongous machine, be it you're a minuscule gear, but nevertheless an integral part of it. Where it all started? I don't know. But it's plausible that it all started in our brains. From the primitive brains of our ancestors, which discovered fire. The primitive brain which invented axe, and stone tools, and wheel, and axle. The primitive brain which started a whole revolution of invention to make our lives easier. That is it, that statement alone sparked the greed. To make our lives easier. Because to some, they would want to satisfy that for themselves even if it would be the total opposite of it for others. And I tell you, it is dangerously infectious, faster than a plague. And it bothers me how it is systematically distributed from top to bottom. From corporate CEOs, to the middlemen, to the small players, and down to the consumers. Our cars, our home, especially our gadgets, and even our food. We are all plagued. Our idea of success is to get more and more. Go buy this new shoes, go buy that big-ass television, go drive that fancy car and eat at those fancy restaurants and wear this fancy clothes and keep tapping on your fancy gadgets. Ain't it all just fancy? Somehow I'm trying to comprehend how it could be hardwired on our brains how these things come to being. Here's what happens. You see, you have a nice job and you have these nice things and you see these better things that you can't afford. Then you'd decide to quit your job and look somewhere else that will pay you more to buy these better things. And now that you have these better things, you now need a bigger house to store them and keep them safe, all for yourself. And you buy a bigger car and indeed you need a bigger parking space. And at the background of it all, there are other entities who does their job, because you, and a couple billion more wants a new phone, and a new house, and a new car, and all of them are exactly like you. These are all intricately intertwined in this machine of a society. And now you have a bigger house so you have to pay more for utilities. Electricity bill, phone bill, water, internet, house mortgage, car loans, credit card, and that thing you bought just because it was on sale. Then you notice the job that's been paying you more, looks like they're paying you even less, and of course the new iPhone is out, which you can't afford. So you quit your job again, and look someplace else where they'd pay you even more. Then it all resets. And all of a sudden, you have 2 cars and 2 parking spaces and a big-ass mansion with a big-ass garden, and a big-ass couch while watching your big-ass television and your big-ass iPad at the same time. All these you couldn't even afford last year. When does this stop? When you become the CEO? I don't think so. Where is the line? It's starting to look like there isn't. And at the end of the day, you isolate yourself away because you don't trust people anymore, or at least the ones who don't have what you do. And that is the very definition of greed. So that is why, I envy you. It's a curse, what you have. Your hate for the society. How you think it's for your own good to disconnect. To detach your whole being from the mainstream whatever that you've grown to abhor. To alienate yourself from a place you truly belong. You learn to be a good actor. A very good one. You can spend hours around people you decided you hate and live by without talking to them. Without even looking at them. You say you don't care about almost everything, your face says so, but deep in you is every single opinion that you are trained to keep to yourself, afraid that one of your precious opinions might get tagged as just another internet gibberish. You stop talking to people. And after imagining a bad conversation with them, you delete them in your contact list. You have a Facebook account, but you don't want to see updates from the people on your friends list, so you unfollow them, but more often you unfriend them just because they posted a picture of their cat doing regular cat things. You have a Twitter account but you never twit. Because you forgot your password. And can't retrieve it. Because you have no idea which of your 20 email addresses you used for it. And fuck Instagram. Seriously. Fuck it. Then you wear earphones whenever you're outside so nobody greets you. And you wear sunglasses so you don't have to greet everybody. Your mobile phone is worthless because you don't text or call. You started to forget your friends' birthdays, or you just don't greet them because for the next 2 seconds, your post on their Facebook wall will be obliterated by the other 100 HBDs from people they don't even know personally. Seriously? HBD? You're a fucking adult privileged to live with high-tech gadgets in this super high-tech era and you can't fucking type a full happy fucking birthday? Jesus. Man. That should be considered sloth. Oh, I weep for the 7 deadly sins. They don't mean much anymore. And then, you have this amazing I have work excuse that you use to everybody. And I mean everybody. I once heard a person say, if you want to get out of something, don't ever say you have plans, plans can be cancelled. Say you have work. That man was Schmidt. And he's right because who's gonna drag you somewhere compromising your job? Freakin' genius, man. And then you realize, you live in a bubble. Alone. All your friends fade out, away from you. You barely talk. You once stopped talking to a dear friend just because she started taking pictures of the food she's about to eat. It is that simple to you. Like you're this all-powerful mighty human being who does not just accept things the way they are and tries every time to bend others to the will of your consciousness level. You basically hate people. And you're not wrong. You have to hate people. The bullshit here. The bullshit there. All the fucking bullshit all around the fucking globe. And you're right about that. But one thing you always forget is to never generalize. Yeah, people are stupid, but not all of them. Your filtering protocol got screwed up that you're filtering everything. Nothing gets to you anymore. And I don't blame you for being that way, that's a good thing. It makes you feel like there's still hope down here. That everyone is not alike. But just ease it up a notch. Let's blame the system instead. We are all victims here. The vast majority are just too blind to see it, that's why they are getting dragged to whichever way the system takes them to. We are not bad people. We just come from a bad place. There's this catastrophic but beautiful occurrence that happens in the universe. Astrophysicists call it the binary system. It is an event of which when 2 nearby stars orbit so close to each other that they get drawn on each other's gravitational influence. They then share their outermost atmospheres. They mess up each other's elliptical orbit until it doesn't look like elliptical at all. It would look like they are dancing the cosmic tango. They would still be pulling each other closer and closer until they collapse into a colossal explosion converting them into a single star system. Everything that has mass curves the space-time fabric. The bigger the mass, the stronger the gravity. The closer 2 bodies are, the stronger they pull each other. It is a natural occurrence. And it doesn't only happen with stars, also to human. We are all made up of star stuff after all. I call it the law of proximity.
I was masking off almost everything she was saying. I looked away. She kept on talking. This and that. I whispered to myself, I don't have to deal with this bullshit. Somehow, she heard it. She snapped. I stood up and walked towards the door. She was yelling. I clutched onto the knob. And then out of the blue, she said, the moon landing is a hoax. That caught my attention. She caught my attention. 6 words. My initial reaction was to bust her head open. But I didn't. Was I letting it slip? No. She suddenly stopped talking. As if it was a sacred secret she's been keeping and unintentionally slipped out of her tongue. Don't go that far, I said. Just don't. I almost couldn't turn the knob either way because my palms were sweating so bad. After a couple of tight grips, I finally did. I walked out. I could hear her sobbing. I walked away.
Negative. No sign of intelligent life here.
We held hands on the last night on Earth. Our mouths filled with dust. We kissed in the fields and under trees, screaming like dogs, bleeding dark into the leaves. It was empty on the edge of town, but we knew everyone floated along the bottom of the river. So we walked through the waste, where the road curved into the sea and the shattered seasons lay, and the bitter smell of burning was on you like a disease. In our cancer of passion, you said, death is a midnight runner. The sky had come crashing down like the news of an intimate suicide. We picked up the shards and formed them into shapes of stars that wore like an antique wedding dress. The echoes of the past broke the hearts of the unborn, as the Ferris wheel silently slowed to a stop. The few insects skittered away in hopes of a better pastime. I kissed you at the apex of the maelstrom and asked if you would accompany me in a quick fall, but you made me realize that my ticket wasn't for two. I rode alone. You said, the cinders are falling like snow. There is poetry in despair, and we sang with unrivaled beauty, bitter elegies of savagery and eloquence. Of blue and gray. Strange, we ran down desperate streets and carved our names in the flesh of the city. The sun was stagnated somewhere beyond the rim of the horizon, and the darkness is a mystery of curves and lines. Still, we lay under the emptiness and drifted slowly outward, and somewhere in the wilderness we found salvation scratched into the earth like a message.
This is Projectscape. Do you copy?
It was the perfect timing, or so I thought. You implied I made you realize you should be happy, and not feel alone, and go someplace safe, where nobody could hurt you, where nobody knows you, but me, with me. You said I was different. I tried to accept the thought. I tried to cover up the obvious. You said you were different. You said we are descendants of the same species. Yes. You were different, but I am not. You kept doing things I didn't quite understand, and I think I would never understand. I was thinking of asking you, how do you do it? But no, I just asked that to myself. How do you do it? I really don't get it. And I kept asking that for quite some time. I'm still asking the same question to this day, but I think I get it now. I don't get it. Yes, you were right. You were different from the crowd. But you are not the only one. Yes, you heard it right. You are just one of them. No difference at all. I know you. I know your kind. Not that I didn't see it coming, because I did. I was not blindsided, but I just did not pay much attention. I knew it was coming right at me, but I did not give a damn. So here I am, still the same broken piece of shard left from the numerous explosions. Never fixed, never will be. The funny thing is that I am feeling like I lost it, but this lone feeling constantly makes me realize I did not. I never had it in the first place. I felt floating there for a moment, but then it was just in my head. It is the reality. It is my reality. My feet are still ground bound. The most frustrating part is, your hands looked exactly like the one I'd hold forever. But something kept on telling me I am not designed for forever. And I'm pretty sure you aren't as well. I really thought it would work. I wanted to, but you clearly said you didn't. I made valiant actions, and you were just being yourself the whole time. You said you weren't complaining, and that I should not, and just keep things the way they were. I became ready, as your escape, but you started hoisting me down the spiral. I felt like a tornado of water going down the drain. Useless. You are good. You got game. I tried to fight back, but my resistance was futile. I have issues. Yes, but clearly you do too. I want to think you slipped away, out of my arms. Make it sound more like a Greek novel. But clearly, it wasn't what happened. That is something I could never answer. What really happened? I knew it. You are just another verse on this long journal. Another verse I didn't finish. Another part I won't forget for a long time. Another part I will always go back to. Another part I could never stop looking back to. I didn't stop. You did. You see, the sky was blue. It still is. But not for long. Not for long.
It was the perfect timing. Or so I thought. You implied I made you realize you should be happy. And not feel alone. And go someplace safe. Where nobody could hurt you. Where nobody knows you. But me. With me. You said I was different. I tried to accept the thought. I tried to cover up the obvious. You said you were different. You said we are descendants of the same species. Yes. You were different. But I am not. You kept doing things I didn't quite understand. And I think I would never understand. I was thinking of asking you. How do you do it? But no. I just asked that to myself. How do you do it? I really don't get it. And I kept asking that for quite some time. I'm still asking the same question to this day. But I think I get it now. I don't get it. Yes, you were right. You were different. Different from the crowd. But you are not the only one. Yes, you heard it right. You are just one of them. No difference at all. I know you. I know your kind. Not that I didn't see it coming. Because I did. I was not blindsided. But I just did not pay much attention. I knew it was coming right at me. But I did not give a damn. So here I am. Still the same broken piece of shard left from the numerous explosions. Never fixed. Never will be. The funny thing is that I am feeling like I lost it. But this low feeling constantly makes me realize I did not. I never had it in the first place. I felt floating there for a moment. But then it was just in my head. It is the reality. It is my reality. My feet are still ground bound. The most frustrating part is, your hands looked exactly like the one I'd hold forever. But something kept on telling me I am not designed for forever. And I'm pretty sure you aren't as well. I really thought it would work. I wanted to. But you clearly said you didn't. I made valiant actions. And you were just being yourself the whole time. You said you weren't complaining. And that I should not. And just keep things the way they were. I became ready. As your escape. But you started hoisting me down the spiral. I felt like a tornado of water going down the drain. Useless. You are good. You got game. I tried to fight back. But my resistance was futile. I have issues. Yes. But clearly you do too. I want to think you slipped away, out of my arms. Make it sound more like a Greek novel. But clearly, it wasn't what happened. That is something I could never answer. What really happened? I knew it. You are just another verse on this long journal. Another verse I didn't finish. Another part I won't forget for a long time. Another part I will always go back to. Another part I could never stop looking back to. I didn't stop. You did. You see, the sky was blue. It still is. But not for long. Not for long.
It was the perfect timing. Or so I thought. You implied I made you realize you should be happy. And not feel alone. And go someplace safe. Where nobody could hurt you. Where nobody knows you. But me. With me. You said I was different. I tried to accept the thought. I tried to cover up the obvious. You said you were different. You said we are descendants of the same species. Yes, you were different. But I am not. You kept doing things I didn't quite understand. And I think I would never understand. I was thinking of asking you, how do you do it? But no. I just asked that to myself. How do you do it? I really don't get it. And I kept asking that for quite some time. I'm still asking the same question to this day. But I think I get it now. I don't get it. Yes, you were right. You were different. Different from the crowd. But you are not the only one. Yes, you heard it right. You are just one of them. No difference at all. I know you. I know your kind. Not that I didn't see it coming. Because I did. I was not blindsided. But I just did not pay much attention. I knew it was coming right at me. But I did not give a damn. So here I am. Still the same broken piece of shard left from the numerous explosions. Never fixed. Never will be. The funny thing is that I am feeling like I lost it. But this lone feeling constantly makes me realize I did not. I never had it in the first place. I felt floating there for a moment. But then it was just in my head. It is the reality. It is my reality. My feet are still ground bound. The most frustrating part is, your hands looked exactly like the one I'd hold forever. But something kept on telling me I am not designed for forever. And I'm pretty sure you aren't as well. I really thought it would work. I wanted to. But you clearly said you didn't. I made valiant actions. And you were just being yourself the whole time. You said you weren't complaining. And that I should not. And just keep things the way they were. I became ready. As your escape. But you started hoisting me down the spiral. I felt like a tornado of water going down the drain. Useless. You are good. You got game. I tried to fight back. But my resistance was futile. I have issues. Yes. But clearly you do too. I want to think you slipped away, out of my arms. Make it sound more like a Greek novel. But clearly, it wasn't what happened. That is something I could never answer. What really happened? I knew it. You are just another verse on this long journal. Another verse I didn't finish. Another part I won't forget for a long time. Another part I will always go back to. Another part I could never stop looking back to. I didn't stop. You did. You see, the sky was blue. It still is. But not for long. Not for long.
When are you gonna live? It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough. Seneca. On the shortness of life. Human life expectancy is at 70, give or take. On the first half decade, you are not living, simply because you don't know how to. You are just learning. Then if you are privileged enough, you start your lifelong real learning through school. Still, you are not living by then, you are just following. Following what your teachers and professors tell you, because you trust they're right. Following what your parents teach you, because, well, they're your parents. Then you graduate. Grade school, to high school, to college, and to graduate school, you know, if your parents are filthy rich, or you're either really smart or really stupid. Then you get a job. Then you think you're gonna start to live after all that. Wrong. You have a boss barking at your back. Your boss is not your only boss. Their boss is technically your boss as well. And all of them are gonna be watching you, because in all fairness, they're paying you, you know, to build their dreams. But you are not living. You are just trying to live by their standards. Not to mention, your parents still tell you what to do. And you still do it because, well, they're your parents. This protocol goes on for decades, and this will be your standard for living. You will know this as living. This is the culture of living. But it's not living. And if you're stupid enough, you're gonna marry young, probably 4 or 5 years into your chosen profession. Earlier if you're extra stupid. You know, because you're in love. Then you start reordering your life, adding someone else's standard into your way of living. Your husband's or wife's. You know, because you're in love. Then you start being a part of the tradition known as procreating, you know, even though you think it's not the right time or you just think there's just too many people already. But you still do it because first, your parents want grandkids, second, peer pressure, third, the church said so. Now you have kids. And damn, it's the end of you. And the whole process resets. Only now, you are the parent. Now you're gonna be telling them what to do, because hey, your parents did. Then if you're lucky enough, or good enough, or you're the best ass kisser ever, you're gonna be a boss. Now you get to bark at someone, because hey, you got barked at, too. You think you are living? No. You tell your kids what to do because someone else is telling you what to tell your kids, the church, the media, other parents, your parents. You're barking at someone in the office because if you don't, you're gonna be barked at, again. Living? No. But congratulations. Because you are now part of the whole shenanigan called society. This happens to all of us in one way or another. And this is how you are sent to your deathbed. And if you're lucky enough, you get to retire while you still can walk, or go to the bathroom by yourself, or can still eat just whatever you want without worrying about your health. Then you decide to go on vacation. And that is if you have enough savings, which probably you don't, or if your children is supporting you because they haven't married yet, which probably they already have because hey, you did. Now you're in your vacation, having the time of your life. You go to places you've never been and you'd see their majestic beauty. You'd go to beaches, probably Maldives, you know, if your unmarried child becomes the CEO of a drug syndicate or something. You're probably wearing sandals while walking on the white shores because hey, arthritis. You're probably drinking some non-alcoholic beverage under a huge beach umbrella because your doctor said your next sip of alcohol will be your last. You're probably checked in a very elegant hotel room where smoking is allowed but you can't because hey, doctor, remember? And you're having dinner in this extravagant ballroom gala that serves pot roast and ham and baby back ribs but all you hear is your doctor's voice saying fruits and vegetables and juice only. Whatever happened to the go, grow, and glow foods you learned in the first week of preschool, you wonder. But you're enjoying every bit of it. And you start telling yourself, this is living. You go back to your hotel room, you doze off, and get awakened by your own heavy breathing. And for a fraction of a second, everything flashes before your eyes, and your last words are, they fucked me. You think everybody fucked you your whole life. No, they didn't. You did that to yourself. You fucked yourself. So you truly lived just for one weekend, but on a brighter note, in Maldives. All in all, this statement, like living, is pointless.